Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, Star Wars special. We're talking Andor, the end of Season 1, the final episode. Joining me to discuss the show is my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello there.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay. We are talking Andor, Season 1, Episode 12. Title of the episode was...
Rick's Road.
Yeah, it was kind of funny this, because... when I first looked at that, I read it as Bix.
Right.
Yep. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, that says Bix Road. And then my brain went, oh no, that's awful, because we learned in the last episode that like when people die there, they get, burnt down and made into bricks.
Yeah.
And they get laid. And I was thinking, wow, is there going to be, Bix? And then I reread it. It was, oh no, it's Rick's Road. And then I thought, oh no, but this could be the same thing. This is a road, and are so many people going to die that like you can pave a whole road.
But yeah.
and I kind of messaged you about it. I was like, oh wow, this is going so bad. And then a little bit, my brain kind of went, no, it's just the main road. It's just
That's
the
just
name
the
of the
name of the road. Because
Yeah.
I did what I always do when you send me anything Star Wars related.
Yeah.
I love the films. You've read a couple of the books and stuff, whereas I've loved just the films and stuff. So you've seen more of the shows and bits like that. So you're a lot more into the Star Wars than I am.
Yeah.
And you'll mention, like, you sent me a message like, oh, it's called Rick's Road. Oh, that doesn't sound good. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so there's clearly a really famous reference here somewhere. And I'm being really stupid because I have no idea what he's on about. And you're like, oh, it's the name of the main road. I wonder how many people are going to die. And I'm like, yeah. Oops. It happens so often when we talk. I'm like,
It does. I mean, it works both ways. I mean, you kind of jot some stuff on me on Marvel, and I'm like, oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. But so focusing in on, so the episode as a whole, we talked about how it was kind of building towards this, and in the last episode, it kind of felt like, okay, everything's about to collide. Like, we are literally about to have this. It's a powder keg. It is about to go off.
Yeah.
One of the things that we discussed was this kind of throwaway theory that I had that she hadn't died, and she'd kind of faked her death in a way of, drawing all these people in, and then all of a sudden you were going to find out she was still alive, and perhaps she was going to die then, but she was going to go out on her own terms, fighting. What I found kind of interesting was, first of all, my theory was wrong. She had died, but she obviously knew she was she obviously knew she was dying, and made the decision, I'm going to go out with a bang here.
Yeah. And it was quite a speech, wasn't it?
Oh, quite a speech. It's kind of funny because she's a very good actress, that lady.
Yes.
And when, up to this point, her part had been very muted. Just very kind of in the background. Oh no, don't do that. You're my son. I don't want you to get... And I kept kind of thinking to myself, why as an actor would you take that? Perhaps she took this role simply because I want to be in Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and therefore this is my kind of being able to be in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and because there wasn't anything in it, there was no, Luthen-style monologues or anything that we've seen and we've been blown away by. And it kind of felt like, well, you got someone that talented just kind of sat there, going through the motions, slowly dying in a chair, talking to a droid. You're like, she's doing all that bloody well, but it's just kind of like, surely there's something else. And then we got to see it. We got to see her deliver this monologue, this kind of call to arms against the Empire.
Yeah.
It was special. It's not the first one in this series.
And you got to wake up and do it, and always it's like, whoa, okay. Yeah. She's drunk.
It's easy for me to say because I'm dead, but if I had my chance to do it all over again, this is what I'd do.
Oh, yeah.
It hit home. One of the things I was going to ask you is how many people there do you think were aware of that message? Because it felt to me like there was a fair few of them in that crowd who went there that day to fight. And it wasn't like her message suddenly went on and all of a sudden they were like, yeah, actually that's a good idea. You could almost see the looks on their faces, like this kind of anger of, it's a funeral, you're going to look upset, but they looked angry.
Yeah, there was a few, I think, like the main guy that was there, whose name has escaped me, and I'm scrolling trying to find it now. Like Cassian's kind of right-hand man, the big guy.
Yeah, his best friend. Yeah,
the best friend. I can't find his name now. It's going to bug me. But yeah, he was kind of, the way he was looking around at the other guy there, it was kind of like they'd heard this message before. They were ready for what's going to come and stuff. And obviously, the young lad who had brought the explosives and stuff, he was obviously aware that something was going down.
Well, this was it. I wasn't sure if he was aware or whether he was going to do that anyway, because I'm pretty sure it was his dad they tortured to death before taking Bix.
Yes, that's kind of what I thought. I wasn't certain, but that's where I kind of I felt that matched his kind of anger against them.
Yeah. It was but like I said, it was like all these things coming together. We're just going to step away from Ferrex for a moment. So before we focus there entirely and discuss the events, we're just going to step away, back to Coruscant, back to our favourite senator, because there was something earlier in the season where she talked about her driver. They're changing my driver all the time. I don't know who I can trust anymore.
I feel like I'm being watched and stuff,
Yeah, you kind of looked at that and we were like, could just be paranoia. But we learn in this episode, no, absolutely not. This guy is spying on her for the ISB, for the Empire. And the guy running him, if you like, is one of the guys who's sort of quite high up there. So this senator is being watched, and they are looking at her financials as well, which she kind of already knew. But she plays something brilliantly in this, and I didn't pick up on it at first.
Right, if there was an ace up her sleeve, she just played it beautifully.
Yeah, agreed. So clearly at some point, husband has had a gambling issue. And so he gets in this car ready to go, but I say car, you know what I mean.
Hover, whatever.
Speeder, ship, he gets in the vehicle, there we go, I'm safe there. Ready to go back home, leaving a party, and she just lays into him like only a wife can, just, I wanted to leave ages ago, you're there, you're gambling again, and he's like, no, I'm not, no, who's telling you this? She's like, yes, you are, don't deny it, and I'm just like, where's this going, like, is this going to them two having a proper fallout? They ask for privacy as well from the driver, and he doesn't give it to them. Like we get to see that he's still listening.
He gives them a couple of minutes, then he's like, and I'm back in the room. Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking to myself, I really don't want her to say something here, or him say something, because we now know he's listening. We've already had the hint of could he be ISB, and I had this image of them two having an argument and him saying something like, "Oh, why don't you go hang out with your gangster mates to sort your money problem?"
Yeah. And
I was just like, "Oh no, this could be a nightmare. This could be so bad." But actually, she just, I don't know where. I mean,
I almost
is there any
felt
part
sorry
of you
for
to
the
think?
bloke. I almost felt sorry for him because he's genuinely there like, no, let's go back to the party. You tell me who's told you the lie.
Yeah.
And we'll go to, like, I've had things not to this extent, but in my life before, like previous relationships and stuff. They're having a go at you and you're like, well, I know it's a lie, so just tell me who told you and I'll go talk to them and find out why they lied to you. And she's like full on, and that's when I suddenly clicked in my head. I was like, oh, wait a minute. She knows she's being listened to. She has just thrown this guy.
Yeah.
She's thrown him under the bus or hovercraft or whatever.
Yeah.
Thrown him under the X-Wing. Because now he's going to go back and go, oh, I found out what happened to their money problems. He's been gambling away on the old swamp rats.
Any hint at all in your mind that actually perhaps he's in on it? The husband?
No, I don't think
like
he
they
is.
staged it.
I don't think from his reaction. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm just gonna say, as I'm recording this, I'm actually in the middle of a massive thunderstorm where I am. So apologies. There's like hailstones. There's all sorts going on now. I'm gonna try and mute it in the recording, but if people you pick up, yeah, I apologise. There's not a lot I can do about the weather, I'm afraid. And if there was, I'd probably be doing different things.
Yes.
But yeah, so focusing on that, then yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it just kind of crossed my mind, so I wanted to say it. But I think you're right. I think she used the past problem, and used it perfectly, because like you said, the ISB, when we saw that driver talking to them, he himself, like his handler for the driver, said, "Oh, you know, this could explain, you know, we have seen her moving money around. Her accounts have been a bit odd recently. That could explain it." And now we then also see her daughter meeting the son of this gangster. So clearly she has relented on that and is doing that deal.
Yes, the deal's been done. But now, so this is where now it gets a bit more interesting, because she's now... So they're doing the deal, which means she's getting the money back.
Yep.
She's already played the kind of seed down that he's gambled all the money away.
Yeah.
So does that mean actually the money she's getting from this guy is now going to go straight to Luthen and the Republic? Because she now doesn't need to fill the holes in her bank balance, because she's already told them why they're there.
Yeah, I mean, she's so, basically now... Yeah, anyone who looks at her now will just think she's trying to cover up the fact that her husband's a gambling idiot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she... I mean, it was genius, and it was great. And the thing I like about it as well is it was fast, and it was kind of sharp, and you just look at the expression on her face. She didn't enjoy doing that. No. You know, that wasn't... So she must have some regard for him, whether it's love, strength of feeling, whatever. There must be something there, and she certainly didn't enjoy the whole thing with her daughter, this ceremony thing.
Oh, definitely not, no.
So, you know, again, that was well acted, and it's going to be interesting, that storyline going into the next season, because my understanding of the next season, as explained by a few of the actors in interviews, is we are going to get a kind of a hop, skip, and a step towards Rogue One. And by that I mean it's 12 episodes, but it's broken down, so you're going to have 4 episodes, time jump. 4 episodes, time jump. 4 episodes, Rogue One.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going to have these kind of compartmentalized 4 episode story arcs. It's going to be pretty good. I mean, it's going to be pretty exciting, I think.
I'm hoping so.
Well, I've enjoyed season 1. I think they've nailed it. I think the opening, I can understand why they released 3 episodes, because I think that was world setting. And I think if you had to wait a week, I probably would have waited until they all came out and binged them.
Yeah.
But the fact I could binge the first 3, I was like, okay, the world's set up now show me stuff, and I think they did. Each episode kind of led me wanting to watch the next one.
No, agreed. Yeah, I don't think I had any... There's been some shows we've watched and spoken about, some shows we watched haven't spoken about, that you watch the first 2 episodes and you go, oh, the rule is given 3.
Yeah.
Must give it 3, and then you watch the third one, it either gets you or it doesn't. This, from pretty much from episode 1, I was like, okay, let's go, keep going.
Yeah. Which
is so good. Like, I have so much love and stuff at the moment for people like... So the writers of this, Tony Gilroy, I think that I have so much love for these people, because they're making Star Wars, or it feels like they're making Star Wars out of love again.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
The Mandalorian show, the Obi-Wan show, all of these kind of like they're making the shows, and it feels like fans are making the shows.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and you know, we're all back in love with Star Wars again.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because what's kind of funny about that is when the sequels came out, they, you know, there's certain things in it that I enjoyed, but there's certain aspects of it that I didn't. Episode 8 mostly, but and then 9 I fell flat because I had to fix 8, if that makes sense. But look, that's a separate discussion. But the thing that was funny, like you just said then about, you know, this is being created by people you can tell love it. During that kind of period, that kind of era, you watch parody shows, Family Guy, Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
They are literally making jokes. They're doing Star Wars themed stuff, but they're making jokes. But you can tell they're jokes from people who actually watch and love Star Wars.
Yep.
Because to get the humour out of scenarios and situations, you had to love it. And that's why I think they were so popular, because as adults who grew up with Star Wars, whether you grew up with the original trilogy and the prequels, or prequels and, you know, the original trilogy kind of given to you on DVD, you were an adult at this point, so your humour is different, your, you know, your gaze, if you like, your kind of what you're into is different to when you were a child. Now the sequel trilogy, the thing I always say as well is, like, you know, I'm not the target audience for that. You know, I remember everyone hated the prequels, and then all of a sudden the kids who grew up loving them are now adults and they're popular. Everyone loves them.
Yeah.
But the original, you know, the original 50, 60-year-olds, etc., were adults when the original trilogy came out. Hate them. Oh, awful. So, you know, at some point, it'd be interesting to see if the sequels get that same feeling. I mean, my daughter was fairly young when the first one came out and loved it, but she hated the second one to the point she's never watched the third one.
Oh, wow.
She had zero interest, and she is a Star Wars fan. She's watched every other film. She makes a big fuss on Star Wars Day. It's something we have to do together.
Yeah.
But just
I
zero
can't send
interest
you
in
anything with Grogu on it because she steals it.
Oh,
yeah.
Massively, yeah. Grogu entered anything, and it's gone. Yeah, that kid's a Grogu addict. I sent you the video of when he appeared in Boba Fett.
Yes.
And I'm the one who said that to avoid people writing in. Anyway,
sorry, Graham. Yeah.
So no, fuck that guy. So on Ferrix,
Yes.
Miro arrives. So I'm going to go through my kind of bullet points here. Miro actually being there surprised me.
Okay.
Not because she's not because you know, she's not a control and a freak, which I think she is. So it does make sense. But I just didn't like everyone converging on this. This literally was every character converging. Cassian headed there, Luthen headed there. The two kind of rebellion soldiers who work for Luthen and had worked with Cassian but are there to kill him, they're there.
Yeah.
ISB in the streets, they're there. You know, the old head of securities guy, I just call him a creepy bastard, with his sergeant, you know, he's reunited with his sergeant, they are there.
That's Cyril. I still don't get it right. Can we just say, we've now got to the end of the series.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why we've followed this guy the whole way through. He saved the woman from the ground because she was getting kicked around. And then she was getting dragged off by somewhere, and he somehow dragged her into another room to go, oh, but you were in trouble. There was this really awkward moment where I thought they were going to kiss, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Really weird. And then that was it. And I'm like, this guy's been in like every episode. Why? Yeah. What is happening?
I think we've kind of followed him just to see how pathetic he is. Because he came across as like a really efficient kind of what he was doing in his role, likes the Empire. He's like to me, he's like Hitler Youth kind of person, you know, he's like idolizing the Empire, idolizing the ISB, idolizing this idea of order. He thinks that's the best. He wants to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But I think what was interesting about following his story through this is he's just a little worm, like put down by his mother, put down by everybody, and you know, there's nothing to him really other than the fact he has this kind of thing in his head, and he's not gonna get there by himself. You know, he isn't someone that they're gonna go, wow, you're super intelligent, we're taking you to the ISB. He's just a worker drone. Yeah. He's not ever going to achieve that, but he basically stalks this woman and takes an opportunity to save her life, and I think that's going to be his way in. I think I think as a reward, I think he's going to end up in the ISB. And I think we're then going to follow him. Follow him, and we're going to kind of, as an audience, look at him and go, look, this guy who was this snivelling, awful bottom feeder who idolized is now this nasty piece of work doing this stuff. Or he's going to get in there and see what it's really like and suddenly think, actually, this isn't, oh, hang on, this isn't order, this is just stomping on people.
Yeah, possibly.
And you're following...
Yeah.
You're right.
There's got to be.
You're right. It has felt pointless, and I did see someone on TikTok say they would have loved it if he just got shot in the face early in this episode, and then it would have just been pointless, and that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
And I did laugh at that. Kind of like, yeah, you're right. That would have been hilarious.
Or he saves Miro, and as he drags her into the room and saves her, she turns around and slices him, and she's like, "Oh, it's you!" And he's like, "I saved you."
Yeah, well, I have to be honest with you. I mean, she did kind of tell the guy to stay the hell away from her.
Yeah.
So
more than once. Yeah.
Yeah, more than once. So yeah, maybe she's pleased now, but
weird.
the funeral procession. What did you think about that? I thought that was hauntingly brilliant.
I think that's probably the correct description for it. Yeah. It was. Yeah. I love the fact. So we had this scene with them talking about, they wanted it at midday, so we pushed it back till 2, and they wanted 30 people. We told them 30, then we let them have 40.
Yeah.
And then it's like midday, and they're like, "Well, screw you guys, we're going anyway. Yeah. Here we go. 40 people. We've got the whole village, and I told you we were doing it at noon. So
the whole town.
Yeah.
There, yeah. It was.
And then the way the music and the drums and everything, I was like, wow. So my partner hasn't watched any of this. Yeah. I've watched this all myself, and I normally have to watch it on the computer. I watch it, then we record. Today the kids had some schoolwork reading stuff, so the wife and the kids were upstairs, so I got to watch it on the TV.
Yep.
Now this is a big deal. I got to actually watch it on TV, but she came downstairs. Kids are in bed. She's come down as the funeral procession's happening.
Yeah.
And she has absolutely no idea what is happening at all. She's gone, "Oh, someone big died," and I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, I was like, "Yeah." That it gave so someone that wasn't even watching the show, it gave that impression of just how big a thing that was, like instantly.
Yeah. Instantly, no, I completely agree. It was special. It was good. Yeah. It really was. And the thing that I think it added to was this suspense and this build up. The dung, and then just this build up, and then even as her message played, it was like, okay, we're building, this is building, and then her message turned to this kind of fight message.
Yeah.
All this time they're trying to find Cassian because the little traitor grassed him up, or tried to, but Cassian was one step ahead. Waited for all of the garrison to empty from that hotel, then snuck in to save Bix, who, by the way, and I know we said this last week, Bix is in a bad way.
Yeah, she's not having the best of days.
When he breaks in to break her out and she says, "No, I can't make them angry," I was like, oh wow, she is in such a bad way. That is the torture, the mental impact that's had on her. Is horrific. Yeah, it is horrific. But she trusts Cassian. She allows him to take her out. He does. And of course, everything's now kicked off. The kid's thrown the bomb. Boom. The front of the hotel's been blown out. Stormtroopers flying everywhere. Now, there's one thing I wanted to put to you on this. And I need to really clarify this. I am not pro-Empire. Okay?
Yeah.
And the fact I have to say that, you know this is going to be a bit devil's advocate-y.
Yeah.
However, I would like to point out that until that kid threw the bomb killing people, the Empire actually didn't kill anyone.
They just stood their ground and made a barrier, and that was it, yeah.
And the crowd were rioting. They'd had this message about fight. There were punches, rocks being thrown, stuff being thrown. No one was getting shot. About 3 people we saw get arrested, but nobody was getting shot.
Yeah.
for outright bad guys, like in my mind, I was watching that
They
thinking
handled it fairly well until the little shit threw a grenade thing and exploded everything.
They're actually, although from my point of view, obviously it's heavy-handed and they shouldn't be there in the first place. It's kind of like they're not actually mass murdering this town, which you're kind of, it's the Empire. Oh, you don't like us here, right? We'll die then. But that didn't happen. The bomb got through and then they opened up. The guy was just like open fire and then it went off. What did you think? Because Luthen's there. Luthen's been kind of hanging around. He's had a couple of chats with his operatives and he's just watching this happen. And I swear that guy smiled.
A little bit, yeah.
What did you think was going through his head? Because he was there to kill Cassian.
Yep.
You know, he even reinforced that when he got there. Because I thought maybe he was going there to re-recruit him. You know, like, oh, actually, I don't want him dead anymore. But he felt he had to go there to kill him. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. You're worried about being identified. That's why he has to die. And yet you show up. That, you know, that didn't...
His story in the last couple of episodes has been really kind of all over the place, really.
Do you think it's been kind of demonstrating that he is himself finding it difficult? Because, like, the woman who's, like, his assistant works with him, who we sort of say, like, basically runs him, is basically having to go at him, like, you're coming undone.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to get caught.
Yep.
And I think this is a perfect example of what she means, because he doesn't need to be there.
No, not at all. Like, it's like his focus has gone. And he's now, he's gone from being like really hands-offy, getting everyone else to do stuff for him, to now like
sensible.
Really over-the-top hands-on. I've got to be there to make sure he dies. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And it's like, well, do you?
No, he didn't. Because like in my head, the only reason he could be there was to say to them, hey, no, we're not going to do this now. We're going to take him, find him.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't.
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
No, he just arrived and was like, yeah, we're killing him. We'll let the Empire find him. They'll take him to that hotel. So we just need to have eyes on the hotel. And when he's on his way in, we'll blow his head off.
Yeah, that's what really confused me. Because I was kind of waiting for him to be like, we saw how good he is. We could really use him. Capture him. Don't kill him. Capture him. I've changed my mind. We're going to use him. But no, he's like, go to the hotel. Get ready for it. And I'm like, why are you there then? What is...
No, completely the same. So that's
strange.
a question mark. I think it demonstrates the erratic behaviour, though, and I think it kind of demonstrates the pressure he's under, because he's not thinking clearly.
Yeah.
And pressure does that. You know, stress does that, as anyone listening could attest.
Yeah.
So one of the other factors is obviously he does get Bix out. He gets her away. His best friend, one of the sisters of Ferrex, is there. The droid is there, delighted the droid survived.
B2
and he
emo.
puts them all on a ship.
Yeah.
And he isn't going with them.
That surprised me.
Yeah, that surprised me, and I'm thinking why? What possible reason? Now he spotted Luthen there, yeah. And he was like, what the are you doing here? You can see the look on his face like, why the would you be here? But he worked out.
Yeah, and how many times did Cyril and the mad Scotsman walk past Luthen, and I'm sat there going,
I know.
One of them's going to turn around and notice the other one. Surely, at some point, they've got to notice each other.
Well, I kept thinking to myself that he heard his voice, he didn't see him.
Yeah.
So I had this image of Luthen speaking and then him, like, his head rocking round.
Like, what the?
And yeah, like, you were the one, you know. So I was kind of like, oh, that could happen, but it didn't. I like that they kept teasing us, though. Like, kept putting these characters close to each other, and you're like, oh, here we go.
Because like, thinking about it, like, as much as Miro was there for the whole Andor and everything else,
it's Luthen she wants.
Yeah, they were only getting Andor to get to Axis, who's obviously we know as Luthen. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my god, Cyril's going to find him. Then Cyril's going to, no, he's walked off. No, he's run away. Luthen's still there. What is going on? Like, I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
but there was a little part of me that was like, it was almost like too much was going on. Like there was so much happening, I didn't get to fully enjoy each bit happening because I'm still that's there, right? Then that's gonna, and then that, and then that, and I'm like, whoa!
I think there are two parts to that. I think one is, I think the episode was designed that way, like fog of war style. You know, like kind of like this is happening, and then boom, and this, and this, and this, and it just kind of like the confusion of it. And I think it was designed that way. And the other thing is, I watched this about 5 hours ago. You watched this about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, literally, I finished recording. I finished the show and turned on the recording,
Yeah. So I've had time to sit with it, run it through my head, work out the individuality, write a few notes. You've literally hit stop and started talking about it.
Yeah.
So
I think is still a bit like, whoa.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that. I think probably tomorrow, the day after, you're going to be like, oh, you see it a bit different. Yeah. But
see, for me, I find this is my favourite time to record though. Like my favourite time when I've just finished watching it and I'm like, I'm proper in that kind of in the moment of whoa.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm the other way because whenever I do that, I miss stuff. Like whenever I do that, because I'm kind of excited about the end, if that makes sense. I miss all the other stuff. But yeah, no, it's funny. I suppose that's why we work, my friend.
Exactly.
High fives,
you come into these podcasts with lots of notes and bullet points, and I come into this podcast having just hit stop, going, "Oh my god!" And then
you come in with the joy and the excitement. Yeah, that's that's good. We've talked about them getting away, which is great because it kind of sets up Bix, etc. to possibly in season 2. I'd love to see if she becomes part of the rebellion. It brings me on to the kind of the end of the episode. I mean, the fight is going on. The Empire obviously have the upper hand. They got the weapons. But it kind of makes a bit of a statement here in the town on Ferrix.
There's a lot of death,
There's a lot of death.
You feel like that place is no longer going to accept anything from the Empire now. That is now line drawn. We do not take this crap anymore. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if we revisit it at all. I'd imagine, given Cassian's tie to it, there's definitely going to be mentions.
Yeah.
But the end of the episode is, to me, I worked out where Cassian was going to be the minute I saw him get on. I saw what's his name, Luthen, get on the jet bike to get back to his ship.
Yes, he was going to be there. Yeah.
I like, because he stayed and my mind was racing. Like, why would he have stayed? What's he looking for? Is there someone else? And I'm like running through characters in my mind. Is there anyone else he'd need to get out? Perhaps, because he got the other person he got out was the kid who threw the bomb. Yeah, that's kind of important. And the other thing that was kind of important is, whilst Cassian was preparing for this, he was looking and reading and listening to that manifesto. The kid who he'd worked with was part of the rebels.
Yeah.
So he kind of had that in his head, this kind of, and then seeing his mum's message, it all just kind of fell into my brain of like, he's going to Luthen because he wants to join. The last time he was just like, I don't want anything to do with you. Fine, I'll do this job for the money, but then I'm gone. This time he's going to Luthen to say, no, sign me up.
Yeah.
But the way he did it, I thought was the reason why Luthen did it. Because I think if he was there and with his gun in hand, etc., Luthen would have still been of a mind to put him down.
Yep.
But the way he did
just left his gun on the side. Yeah. Wow.
And literally said to him, like, kill me. And because it demonstrated to Luthen that he understood the rebellion was bigger than his own life.
Yeah, because Luthen, he says, you came here to kill me. Luthen says you don't make it easy. So he kind of like nods at the gun and goes, easy now, go on then.
Yeah,
kill
exactly.
me or recruit me, take your choice.
I'm stood in front of you and there's a gun, And the thing, like the whole, like the thing that, like, remember that monologue Luthen gave to that ISB guy? And it was so good, so deep. But the basic premises of it is, I am giving up everything, my life, my chance at happiness, any relationship I have is gone because of this, of the rebellion.
Yeah.
there aren't going to be many people like that, and he's looking at Cassian, who has basically just demonstrated that to him by saying to him, like, if you need to kill me for the rebellion, there's the gun.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to kill me, you're bringing me in. You know, I am joining.
I am ready to go. Yeah.
And Luthen's got this smile on his face of like, oh yes,
At last.
You're going to be of use, my boy.
Definitely.
And I am now just so intrigued as to what he is going to be. Is he going to be... Because obviously you can't... See, the thing is the Empire are looking for Cassian Andor.
Yep.
So he can't just show up places. Because
he's not going to be able to rock into a bar. Can't rock into a bar. I'll have 2 tequilas. And your name is... that guy on the poster. Yeah, you know.
So it's gonna be kind of funny because Luthen kind of changes his voice, his appearance, and stuff. But like, if you look at him, so for example, if someone had a picture of Luthen on that planet and then had a picture of that shopkeeper, at best someone might think they're twins.
Yeah,
but you are gonna see
very similar. Yeah,
you are gonna see it. And if someone says, they're like, hey, we got, you know, if someone at the ISB goes to that lady and says, hey, we got a suspicious guy who's like a shopkeeper on Coruscant and we've seen him around a few planets, this guy, but, you know, they look slightly different, she's just going to go, yeah, he's wearing a wig, you dumbass, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just kind of thinking to myself, like, he can do that, and it's kind of, the reason why he does it is not so much if anyone's got a picture, it's more that if someone describes him, oh, he walks like this, his hair's this colour, his eyes are like this, he talks like this.
Yeah, he's
and
very
when he's
theatrical,
the shopkeeper,
very theatrical, over the top shopkeeper, but Luthen is very stone cold and business, so very different personas coming across.
Yeah. So if someone were to describe him and then you looked and went and met that shopkeeper, you'd never... That description doesn't match. No. You know, even if like a little bit, height, etc. is the same, but hair color's different, eyes, everything's different. That's a different guy. So I kind of like that, and I kind of wonder if he's going to train Cassian to be the same, because, you know, Cassian could wear a wig, do these different things, and that way, like, simple things, just in and out, and I just kind of... I like the cloak and dagger aspect of this season a lot.
Yes.
You know, and I'd like to see that. Like, if we're going to go into an arc, a 4-episode arc in season 2, I'd like to see Cassian doing stuff like that. That would... The
proper secret agent really undercover stuff, yeah. That's been good fun to watch.
Okay, so a lot of people listening to this possibly were falling into a trap, which is there is an after credit scene. It is one brief scene.
Yes, there is.
But there is an after credit scene. Now, I watched it and I let it run because on a series finale, I typically always let stuff run just in case, regardless of what genre I'm watching.
Just in case.
And just as I was like literally pouring myself a drink, boom, the screen went and a scene came on. I was like, yes. This is my reward for watching who the executive assistant of the vice president of painting division at Disney is.
Yep.
And it kind of answered the question a lot of people have been wondering. What the hell were the labor camps building?
Yep.
You know, all this slave labor they had, these prisoners, what were they making? The dark ass suggestion that they were simply constructing on one floor and taking apart on another, etc.
I love that so much.
The more I thought about it, the darker that gets and the worse that gets.
And the more I want it to be true.
I know, and I think this speaks really badly of me that I wanted that to be true, but the fact is, it is the Death Star. We kind of worked it out, and we got to see a really, really cool shot of the Death Star being assembled. Yeah, that was quite the ending to season 1, I thought.
I thought, as end credit scenes go, that was one of those ones where it's just kind of like, you just sit there and like smile. Like, it's really weird, like, the Death Star is such a big, terrible, horrible, bad thing.
Yeah.
But every time you see something like that, as a Star Wars fan, you just kind of go, Death Star. Yeah. You know, like a little smile on your face. It's like,
Someone on Twitter said, as an end scene, as like a final image of the season, it was perfect. The only thing he said he would have added was that as the camera's panning out, it to go within a Star Destroyer Like, so you're like looking out the window of a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And as the camera comes out, you just see the side of like a dark helmet, and you hear, and that's it. That's the end.
Yeah.
He was like, that's it. That's the only thing. He said you don't need to see him. You don't need to do anything. You just hear that noise as the final thing for season 1. He said then for an entire year we'd all be going, is Vader going to be in season 2?
Oh my god, we're going to see him? Surely not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, I think as a final image, seeing that Death Star was kind of fantastic. Because, of course, this all leads to Rogue One. This all leads to the mission to Scarif to steal the plans to that very space station.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, all roads lead to the Death Star, my friend. I've exhausted my notes. Do you have anything else you want to jump on from this episode?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Brilliant. That's what I like to hear. So that is it. That is Andor Season 1. We've loved it. We hope everyone listening has too. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been getting in touch, getting involved. The listening figures for this show have just climbed week on week, which I think is a sign of more and more people coming to the show, and it's spreading by word of mouth. But there are literally thousands of you listening now, and I want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you, all around the world as well. So thank you. You want to stay in touch with us, or you want to see what other shows we're covering, we have a website. It's all the W's, stuffandthangspodcast.com. If you go on there, it's got a full archive, not just of all our shows, but it'll tell you all the stuff we cover. You can go on there and go through that. If you want to have day-to-day, hour-to-hour discussions on any of the shows we talk about, you can also join us on our Discord. I will be posting the up-to-date link to that with this show when I put it out. So a massive thank you, Stefan.
Yes,
it's time to say goodbye for this season. We will be back to talk more Star Wars when The Mandalorian Season 3 starts in February of next year. If you enjoy listening to us, listen out for our Christmas special, which will be available around the 23rd of December. Until then, everybody, you all take care.
And may the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.